Welcome back, everyone. It's Eric from Eric Candy here. Today we are back on the channel with yet again another Unified Minds deck profile, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Dragonite GX. So we previously took a look at this card in the Mewtwo Mew GX deck profile we posted already. So if you guys want to see that, definitely go check that one out as well. But that was only kind of like a tech card in there. In this deck, we are building squarely around Dragonite. It's going to be our main attacker since it's actually a pretty good tag team killer, which is the reason we're kind of exploring this idea. And so this was the same list featured in our testing rounds video as well. So if you guys want to see how this deck looks in action, I'll have a link down below in the description to that. And something to keep in mind when looking at these deck profiles that were featured in our testing rounds videos, they are usually some of our more early unrefined lists that we used to start testing with. So that means there might be a few things in here that might be able to be tweaked or improved upon. Just something to keep in mind as we do go through this deck profile. But going on to the actual list, we have 3 copies of Jirachi. So Jirachi, of course, for that Stellar Wish ability, we look at the top 5 cards of our deck, pick a trainer card we find there, put it into our hand. So this is going to be good at helping us find rare candies, of course, to keep our Dragonite streaming throughout the course of a game. And also, too, we do play this is more like a Welder-based version of this deck. So sometimes this can be nice at finding welders to ensure that we can keep accelerating energy throughout the course of a game here. Just a nice kind of like pivot Pokemon we can promote whenever something gets knocked out. But up next, we have 4 copies of Dratini. So this is going to be the Dratini from Team Up, I believe it is, 70 HP, and that has this ability, prevents all effects of attacks, including damage, or not including, but excluding damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's attack. So like if they play something that like de-evolves you via an attack, or like places damage counters, or places like a special condition, those are all the types of things that this ability will prevent against. So this one has a little bit more HP than some of the other ones that are out there, and also we don't play water or lightning energy, so we can't even make use of the attacks on any of the other ones as well. So that's why we are leaning heavily on this one here. But going on from there, we are playing no copies of Dragonair whatsoever. We are playing 3 copies of Dragonite GX in this deck. So we're skipping this. We're just playing the 4 candy. And that's how we're going to get set up. So Dragonite GX here, 250 HP. So it's pretty heavy, little stage 2 GX that we have here. But really the main attack we're going to be looking at here is going to be Sky Judgment for 5 colorless energy. It's 270, and you discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. So at a glance, I feel like that looks like a lot of energy to use an attack, but just think about this. We can Welder 2 fire energy, then attach a triple acceleration from hand to Dragonite as well to ensure that we can attack with it, and we can actually power this up in 1 turn, which is pretty impressive. So this is actually a fairly manageable attack cost, believe it or not. So 270 is a fantastic number to hit for. We can basically knock out any tag team in the game. There's a couple that we are a little bit short of knocking out, like Mega Sableye Tyranitar, which is kind of a pain, Magikarp Wailord. Some of those are really tanky GXs, but think of some of the more popular ones that we have running around, like Reshizard, like Pikarom, even the new Raichu Low and Raichu. So we can, I think, pretty, consistently knock out the more popular tag teams, which is, I think, going to be a little bit more important. So up next, we do have a GX attack that is worth pointing out, Mock Delivery GX, for just a single colorless energy. You draw until you have 10 cards in your hand, but before doing so, you can discard any cards in your hand as well. So let's say you get a Dragonite powered up and you whiff your Triple Acceleration Energy. You still have a decent attack to kind of lean on here to set up your next turn, which is pretty good. We don't actually play any other GX attackers in the game, or in this deck, so this is going to be our only GX attack we have use of, and you don't even really mind using it since we don't have any other ones that we might otherwise want to use. So that's going to be Dragonite GX here. Like I said, this is going to be our main attacker here, and let's take a look at some of its supporting cast here, because we do have a couple of other support Pokemon to get this guy up and running. So first we have a Salazzle line. We have a 1/1 Salazzle. So this is going to be for this Roast Reveal ability. We discard a fire from hand, draw 3 cards. So one thing I have painfully found out with this deck is you just need a lot of cards every turn. You basically have to have Welder Triple Acceleration on the turns that you need it. Otherwise, this deck kind of falls apart. So between Jirachi, between Salazzle, between your supporter for turn, hopefully you will be able to find your triple acceleration energies. That's going to be kind of the most precious resource in the deck. Just because they are kind of hard to find. You can't get them off something like a Jirachi most of the time. So we need other ways to dig and potentially hit those triples on the turns that we don't get them off of our supporters. So Salazzle's going to be good at that. And then from there, we also have a 1/1 Ninetales as well. This is going to be the Ninetales that we got back in Team Up. And we're playing it for its ability. We can discard 2 fire from our hands and choose one of our opponent's bench Pokemon, switch it with their active. So I think, unfortunately, Dragonite does need some sort of way at gusting, whether it be custom catchers or Ninetales. And the reason I say that is because a lot of decks have non-GX options to attack you with. So think of Pikarom. They have Zapdos they can swing on you with, and you just really hate using Sky Judgment to knock out these types of Pokemon. It's really not an efficient way to take all of your prizes. So we will, unfortunately, I think, need some way to gust up Pokemon, or alternatively, I think you need some sort of good like one prize attacker that can deal with these other one prize attackers. So that's the whole reason for Ninetales, and I don't think we have the space to play custom catcher, so that's why I wound up playing this instead. But if you guys don't like the Ninetales, like I said, I think you absolutely have to play either this custom catcher or a way to deal with one prize Pokemon. So that's one area where the Welder version of Dragonite GX in particular really struggles, is with the one prizers. But against all of your 2 and 3 prizers, Dragonite is a fantastic attacker. So that is kind of the whole reason for our Ninetales here. So going on from there, we have 1 copy of Mew. Of course, for that bench barrier ability, we are trying to prevent Tag Bolt from wreaking havoc on our board and picking off multiple Dratinis at a given time. So we'll prevent bench damage done to us. Also, Psycho Power is a somewhat useful attack sometimes, especially if we are going at something like Dark Box. The Psycho Power attack is actually pretty good at setting up that single damage counter on something like a Mega Sableye Tyranitar. That way Dragonite can finish it off later in the game. So that is something definitely worth pointing out about this card, but it is mainly for the Pikarom matchup. Next up, we have 1 copy of Ditto Prism Star. So this will basically allow us the flexibility of evolving into Salazzle or our Ninetales that we have here. You know, especially if we are forced to start with one of their pre-evolutions and can't move it from play and it gets discarded, we still have the Ditto later on. Or of course, if one of these gets prized, we still have the Ditto to evolve into either one here. And then from there, 1 copy of the Dene GX. Discard our hand, draw 6 with that Dene Change ability. So of course we can bail ourselves out of a dead hand, and also on certain terms we might just need to dump our hand and dig to try to hit the Triple Acceleration Energy or Rare Candy, whatever it might be here. So between the Dedenne, between the Salazzle, between the Jirachi, we have a lot of ways to hopefully dig and hold up this deck and make sure it can find the pieces that it needs to. So that's going to be our Pokemon line, guys. Going on to our supporters, we have 4 copies of Welder, kind of, a key component of this deck for sure, because I already kind of talked about the play where we go Welder, attach to Fire, then attach a Triple Colorless or Triple Acceleration Energy from there, and take a knockout with Dragonite GX. So attach to Fire from hand, draw 3. This is fine. Even Welder can be good on the turns we don't find Triple Acceleration. Like if we already previously had 2 Fires, we can go Welder, attach return, and still be able to take a knockout with Dragonite GX. From there, we have 3 copies of Lily, and then also 3 copies of Cynthia as well. These are going to be some of our more conventional supporters that we have in the deck here. And then from there, we actually have 1 copy of Red's Challenge as well. It's going to be an interesting inclusion. But Red's Challenge, actually, this card's been hit or miss, but the turns that it's worked, it's actually been really, really good. But you discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for any card. And the reason we're playing this is because without this, we effectively have no way of hitting an out to Triple Acceleration Energy off of Jirachi. So if we still had Energy Lotto or something like that, I'd probably end up just playing that. But this is probably the best out that we have to finding our Triple Acceleration Energies in this deck. So this is the main reason it's there for. But of course, we can also use it to find Rare Candies or Dragonites or whatever pieces we might need to, cobble together an attack return. But like I said, it's primarily there to give us an out to search out Triple Acceleration Energies off of a Stellar Wish if possible. So going on from there, that's all of our supporters. But next up, we have 2 copies of Giant Hearth. New card from Unified Minds. Stadium card, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for 2 Fires, put them into your hand. So this is a very, very strong new Stadium card that is going to be for fire decks like this. And so the combo, of course, we can discard, whatever it may be, and then get 2 Fire Energies, welder them down, hopefully hit triple acceleration energy off the welder, and attack with Dragonite GX. So just has insane synergy with any deck that plays welder. Really been loving this card. The next up from there, we have one copy of Heat Factory Prism Star as well. So much like with the Roast Reveal on Salazzle, discard a fire from hand, draw 3. So just another way we can dig on certain turns and help ensure that we can hit whatever we might need as far as our combo pieces go. Next up from there, we have 4 copies of Rare Candy. Like I said, we play no copies of Dragonair in this list. I think it's just going to be a little too slow. We're going all in on the Rare Candies, which we can find off Reds, we can find off Jirachi, maybe with Heat Factory and Salazzle as well. So this is going to be the main method we need to evolve into Dragonite here. We only actually need 3 candies in the course of a game anyways, just because we only have 3 Dragonites. But we're playing the 4th one just to make sure we can find this as soon as turn 2 if possible. Next up from there, we have 2 copies of Switch, just to give ourselves a little bit more mobility. Unfortunately, even the basic Dratini has a 2 retreat cost, and like all of the Dratinis actually have a 2 retreat cost. It's pretty annoying actually. So Switch is going to be nice at maybe getting those out of harm's way and going into a Jirachi or something like that. But then from there, we also have 2 copies of a Skateboard as well. Just another way we can retreat. We can retreat through the paralysis that Raichu and Raichu will inflict on us. But of course, more commonly, we're going to use this to have down on Jirachis. It will allow our Jirachis to retreat for free even when they are asleep from that ability. Going on from there, we have 3 copies of Mysterious Treasure. So discard a card from hand, search your deck for a Dragon or Psychic Pokemon. So of course we can search out our Dragonites, Dratinis, and also our Mew here. But then we do have 3 copies of Pokemon Communication as well. So we put a Pokemon from our hand back into our deck and search our deck for any other Pokemon. So Treasure is definitely going to be a very, very strong search card, but it is kind of limited in its targets. Pokemon Communication, though not as strong as Mysterious Treasure, I think, is much more flexible. So we can grab everything else in the deck that we might need from there. Up next, just to round out our trainer cards, we have 2 copies of Fire Crystal. We put 3 Fire Energy from our discard back into our hand. So you guys are probably well versed in the synergy between this, Welder, Heat Factory, Salazzle by now. It's just going to allow us to make sure we have Fire Energies to Welder down or use with our fire like draw methods here. So going on to our energy, we have 4 copies of Triple Acceleration Energy. This is going to be like kind of the lifeblood of the deck here. So it can only be attached to an evolution Pokemon, and it gets discarded at the end of your turn, but it provides 3 colorless energy. So like I said, Welder plus the triple will allow us to use Sky Judgment with Dragonite GX and take ideally some big one-hit knockouts. Then we do play a number of Fire Energy as well in this deck, so we have 3, 6, 9 copies of Fire Energy in total to round out this list. So yeah guys, that is going to be Dragonite GX. I do have to confess this deck can be a little bit clunky. I've tried a couple different versions of this in terms of like the partner Pokemon for Dragonite, and it's definitely very, very good against tag teams whenever your opponent throws them active, but sometimes getting the triple acceleration welder combo every turn can be a little much at times. So this probably is not a tier 1 deck, but if you are a fan of Dragonite and been ready for another playable Dragonite, you could definitely bust this thing out, I think, at like a league challenge or maybe even a league cup if you want to get a little saucy with it. So there's definitely times you can still win games with this thing, but sometimes it can just be a little clunky, kind of, as I said. But yeah, that's going to be kind of my initial thoughts on this Dragonite GX deck so far. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Of course, if you did, feel free to give us a like and subscribe, and also consider supporting us over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up some merch from our online store, rarecandytcg.com, like the playmat you saw in this video as an example. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.